Over to Taiwan now. The presidential election has a new candidate. Foxconn founder Terry Gou has entered the race, and this last-minute entry is not going to sit well with China. Stay tuned to know why. We are starting this edition of Race to Power from India. The state of Madhya Pradesh is going to polls this Friday. The two main political parties, that is Congress and the Bharatiya Janata Party, are running on the clock. In just hours from now, all public meetings and campaigning will have to stop. That's the mandate. Madhya Pradesh has become one of the testing grounds. It will definitely give us a glimpse into next year's general election. For the viewers who are watching us from outside India, let me give you a quick crash course on Madhya Pradesh. It sits in the exact center of India. It is the fifth largest state, that is about the size of Italy for context. Madhya Pradesh is home to over 72 million residents. Out of this, 56 million are active voters and 2.2 million people will be voting for the first time. Now, the polling date is set, as we said. It is this Friday. All 230 seats will be up for grabs in a single phase of voting. And then the votes will be counted on 3rd of December. The manifestos of the two main parties are awfully similar. Let's take a look at that. A big focus in this year's election has been on women's empowerment. And it makes sense, since women form nearly 50% of the voter base. The BJP launched a new scheme this June, well in time to lure the voters. Now, under this, all eligible women from poor families will get 1,250 rupees every month. On the other hand, Congress has promised 1,500 rupees per month to eligible women. Now, BJP has also promised free education for girls from poor families until they finish their post-graduation. And the parents of girl children will also be awarded an allowance. So there's a clear push. Now, Congress too has announced 2.51 lakh for the girl child scheme. Coming to schemes related to farmers now, the BJP has promised the government purchase of wheat at 2,700 rupees per quintal and paddy at 3,100 rupees in the same quantity, as well as financial assistance of 12,000 rupees for farmers. Now, the Congress is promising government purchases of paddy at 2,500 rupees and wheat at 2,600 rupees per quintal. That's for both. And the party has also promised a crop loan waiver. You see, the past 5 years have been politically turbulent for the state. The Congress was elected in 2018. The party contested on 229 seats, now out of which it won 114 seats. On the other hand, the BJP contested on all seats and won 109 of them. Now, Congress had unseated the BJP for the first time since 2003. So stakes were clearly very high for the party to fulfill its promises. But here's the catch. Within 15 months, everything came crashing down. A senior leader within the Congress party crossed over to the rival camp. Jyotiraditya Scindia even convinced members loyal to him to join the BJP. The Congress government soon collapsed, and this gave the BJP a chance to take power again. So as it's clear, there's a lot riding on both parties. While BJP is trying to extend its reign, Congress is trying to capitalize on anti-incumbency. So to decode this further, we are being joined by political analyst Dilip Cherian from New Delhi. Welcome to the broadcast, Mr. Cherian.
Thank you.
Mr. Cherian, when a voter in Madhya Pradesh is given two different manifestos, one from the Congress, one from the BJP, but they're awfully similar, how does a voter choose?
My sense, having seen a lot of state elections from the ground, is that voters don't base their voting pattern on manifestos alone. It is a sense of what the leadership is going to be. It is a faith of which direction different leaders will use in terms of their leadership style and in terms of the candidates who they have around them. So while it's important for manifestos to be compared, it really is about the level to which a leader has perhaps become a bit boring, the level to which the ills of another leader have stayed hidden. So, to my mind, when we look at the way voting behavior happens, it is not manifestos that are the primary driver of change. It is what I would call the boredom factor, the hope factor, and most importantly, the sense that the direction for tomorrow is going to be provided by this kind of leader.
Right. Mr. Cherian, bringing your expertise here, you are a political campaign advisor. So give us a sense, how does a party decide on who to bring and who not to bring on the campaign trail? And I'm talking about the big faces. How does, if you could be more specific towards Madhya Pradesh here?
In the case of Madhya Pradesh, the fact is that Shivraj Chauhan has had so many rounds of chief ministership that everything that he had to do, he had the time to deliver. Kamal Nath's advantage is that he can take refuge in the fact that he's only had 15 months and he didn't have time to really get into steam. This is one. The second thing is that as far as the BJP is concerned, they recognize that there is this pushback factor against Shivraj Chauhan. So they don't want to say that he is the absolute single choice. That, to my mind, has created its own set of problems because the public is now wondering, hey, this is the guy who's led us for so long. If not him, then who? And the choice there is a choice of plenty. So from Jyotiraj Scindia to the Home Minister to various people in the state cabinet, there's a sense that it is kind of open season. That, I think, is one of the problems that the BJP is facing. On the Congress side, this time, as opposed to usual times, there seems to be no doubt as to who is going to be the emerging leader. So voters are able to see a clear path to the next leadership if he wins.
All right, Mr. Cherian, thank you so much for decoding Madhya Pradesh polls for us and, of course, in general, how campaigning works for India. Thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast.
Thank you.
Let's shift our focus to the United Kingdom now. Former Prime Minister David Cameron has returned to politics as new Foreign Secretary. The move is part of a major cabinet reshuffle carried out by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. And it came after he sacked Home Secretary Suella Braverman for her criticism of police's handling of pro-Palestine marches. Now, Cameron's controversies from when he served as Prime Minister have followed him now to the Foreign Office. His ties in dealing with China are under scanner now. Cameron is facing calls to fully disclose his financial interests linked to Beijing. Just on Monday, parliamentary questions were lodged over his decision to promote a Chinese-funded Colombo port city project. The project is part of China's Belt and Road Initiative. Cameron is being asked how much was he paid to promote the Beijing project. Some Tories have also demanded that Cameron sheds all commitments to any Chinese companies. Now, soon after his appointment as UK's new Foreign Secretary, Cameron swung into action. He has spoken to his US counterpart Antony Blinken to discuss key issues like the ongoing Israel-Gaza war. His return, however, has caught everyone off guard. There are questions being raised. What's behind his return? And what's there in it for the Conservative Party? This new cabinet reshuffle by Sunak comes at a time when the Conservative Party is facing setbacks in opinion polls and losing crucial by-elections. Now, this move is seen as a way for Sunak to unite the Tory party. He has sacked the hardline Home Secretary Suella Braverman and replaced her with the former Foreign Secretary James Cleverly. Cameron is known for his centrist liberal conservatism, and it seems that Sunak is trying to make his party more moderate ahead of the upcoming general election. So with all eyes on former UK Prime Minister David Cameron's unprecedented comeback, we take a look at his political career and what caused to end 7 years ago. Our next report telling you more.
A comeback in politics is not uncommon, especially not if the political atmosphere of a country has been going through a tumultuous time. But when UK's former Prime Minister David Cameron returns as the new Foreign Secretary, that is not usual by any means.
Well, I know it's not usual for a Prime Minister to come back in this way, but I believe in public service. The Prime Minister asked me to do this job, and it's a time where we have some daunting challenges as a country.
On Tuesday morning, Cameron made his way back to 10 Downing Street. He attended his first cabinet meeting as UK's new Foreign Secretary. The last time David Cameron was here in an official capacity was in 2016. The then UK Prime Minister delivered his resignation speech from 10 Downing Street.
I think the country requires fresh leadership to take it in this direction. I will do everything I can as Prime Minister to steady the ship over the coming weeks and months. But I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination.
At a time when Britain decided to separate from the European Union, a move Cameron did not support but called a referendum on and eventually ended up losing his chair too. And now the former Prime Minister who dug his own political grave 7 years ago is now back as a Lord. Before the big Brexit debacle, the Conservatives won 2 general elections in 2010 and 2015 under Cameron. He became the youngest Prime Minister UK had seen in close to 2 centuries. Many remember his leadership for the golden age of UK's relations with China. The viral image of Cameron sharing a pint of beer with Chinese President Xi Jinping still remains etched in everyone's mind. But David Cameron also comes with what can be called a political baggage. UK still feels the tremors of several policies fronted by Cameron, including those in fields of medicine and education. His economic policy for depleting UK's public services is blamed for the now crisis-ridden National Health Services. Now the former Prime Minister's return as the new Foreign Secretary has sent a wave of shock across the United Kingdom, especially because Cameron was not even a member of Parliament after he stepped down in 2016. But his return does send a clear message. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is in desperate need of experienced leaders, and the 2025 elections is something that Cameron might be able to help the Conservatives with. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
This is a question we are dealing with now. Held once in 4 years, Taiwan is set to vote on the 13th of January in the presidential and parliamentary elections. Taiwan's electoral battle is shaken up by Terry Gu's qualification to run for Taiwan's president. Terry Gu, the billionaire founder of major Apple supplier Foxconn, has collected 3 times the number of signatures needed to qualify to run in Taiwan's presidential election. In a statement, Terry Gu thanked his supporters and has vowed to work hard to achieve peace across the Taiwanese Strait. He announced his bid in August, claiming that he wants to unite the opposition to ensure that the island did not become the next Ukraine. Terry Gu, who stepped down as the Foxconn chief back in 2019, also blames the ruling Democratic Progressive Party for taking Taiwan to the brink of a war with China. Meanwhile, China's tax probe into Foxconn has become a part of the election discourse. According to China's state-backed Global Times, officials conducted tax inspections at Foxconn businesses in 2 Chinese provinces. However, authorities in China have not yet confirmed the probe. In response to these reports, Taipei's national security chief has said that the Beijing tax probe into Taiwan tech giant is quote-unquote political, as its billionaire founder Terry Gu is running for president. He added that Beijing does not want Terry Gu to become president and split votes within the pro-Beijing camp. Taiwan's 2 main opposition parties will hold another round of talks to iron out their differences over a joint challenge to the ruling Democratic Progressive Party. Currently, the main opposition party and the smaller Taiwan People's Party are working out to pick a presidential candidate to defeat the front-runner, Vice President William Lai. Now, Madagascar finds itself in the thick of a political storm. Facing weeks of protests by opposition groups, the president is seeking a re-election. Demonstrators say that Andry Rajoelina is ineligible to run in the presidential race and are calling for the vote to be delayed. As calls for the 49-year-old's disqualification grows louder, political uncertainty has gripped the island nation.
Madagascar's president was all smiles as he arrived for his final campaign rally on Sunday. But Andry Rajoelina is facing calls to delay Thursday's election after opposition groups claimed he was ineligible to run. Over the past 6 weeks, police have used tear gas to break up regular protests by supporters of Rajoelina's political opponents. They say he should be disqualified from the vote because he acquired French nationality in 2014. Even the leader of Madagascar's lower house, a member of Rajoelina's own party, has called for the election to be postponed, saying that conditions are not right. Nevertheless, officials say they are pressing ahead with the first-round ballot. The president has argued that the constitution does not require the head of state to exclusively hold Malagasy nationality. At the rally on Sunday, he dismissed opposition calls for a delay as a political tactic. The vote has rekindled long-running rivalries between three of Madagascar's wealthiest men. Rajoelina ousted Marc Ravalomanana in a 2009 coup. He stepped down in 2014 to be succeeded by Eri Rajoelina. Rajoelina then won the election in 2018. In addition to those three, there are another 10 candidates for the presidency. 10 out of the 12 rival candidates, including Ravalomanana and Rajoelina, have said that they want the vote to be postponed.
Now, the West African nation of Liberia is voting in a presidential runoff election today. The two leading candidates were separated by just over 7,000 votes in the first round a month ago. Liberian voters are choosing between incumbent football star George Weah and former Vice President Joseph Boakai. Now, President Weah narrowly won the first round but failed to get more than 50% of the vote. Now, this triggered the current runoff. Counting will begin hours after the polls end, and the victor will be sworn into office in January next year. Now, this is the second time the two men have faced each other in a presidential election runoff vote. In 2017, Weah triumphed over Boakai by gaining 61% of the vote in the second round. The voting in October was riddled with allegations of fraud and violence. Liberia's election commission said that 9 of its temporary staffers had been arrested over alleged ballot tampering. The UN also reportedly said that clashes between supporters of rival opposition parties were being held. Now voters are coming out in record numbers in the second round and are calling for a free and fair election in order to exercise their democratic rights. This year's election is the first one since the United Nations ended its Liberian peacekeeping mission back in 2018. US peacekeepers were deployed after more than 250,000 people died in 2 civil wars between 1989 and 2003. And now let's take a look at other stories from the political arena that are making headlines. The military junta in Gabon has promised to hold elections in August 2025, indicating a gradual transition to civilian rule. The elections are scheduled to be held 2 years after the junta unseated President Ali Bongo in a military coup in August. The military leaders have said that a new constitution will be presented at the end of October 2024. A referendum will also be held between November and December next year. The Democratic Republic of Congo is slated to conduct general elections on December 20th. In the run-up to the polls, the DRC's Electoral Commission said that it was prepared to provide fair and credible polls. The statement comes a month after several presidential candidates demanded that the Commission take steps to prevent any kind of election fraud. Several opposition leaders have claimed that the registration process is flawed and favors the ruling coalition. Now, former US President and Republican frontrunner Donald Trump has stirred controversy yet again. At a rally honoring Veterans Day, Trump referred to all his political opponents as vermin. The remark drew flack from the Biden camp, drawing parallels with the language used by Nazi German dictator Adolf Hitler. Listen in to what Trump said at this rally.
With your help, your love and your vote, we will put America first. And today, especially in honor of our great veterans on Veterans Day, we pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, that lie and steal and cheat on elections and will do anything possible. They'll do anything, whether legally or illegally, to destroy America and to destroy the American dream.
And with that typical Trump rally, we are wrapping up this edition. I'm Ananya Datta. I will be back tomorrow, same time. So join the race to power.
Israel woke up to a barrage of thousands of rockets fired from the Gaza Strip.
אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו במלחמה.
Hostilities have broken out between Israel and Palestine, and the tensions that had been gathering steam over the course of the last several weeks and months.
The siren has gone off. I don't know if you can hear in the background what's going on. I'm going into the shelter now. So it's a very, very serious situation here across Israel. It's a state of emergency.
The United States stands with Israel.
Well, we are starting this broadcast with a developing story from West Asia, where Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant says Hamas has launched a war against the state of Israel.
It's easy to tell you a flat story. It's easy to show you what's happening around the world. We do the difficult part.
This weapon has been banned, but the US, Ukraine and Russia do not find the bombs problematic.
We also tell you why what's happening.
New drug is making a difference in the fight against Alzheimer's. This medicine helps slow down a patient's cognitive decline.
We look beyond the text. We give you context.
Is China preparing for a war in the Himalayas? And tonight, we come to you with some proof.
Hypocrisy is stunning.
Do leaders mean what they say? Do they ever say what they mean? To find out how real news affects you, your decisions.
Just when Iran took one step in the right direction, its moral police is planning to drag it further back. And once again, the victim will be women.
Watch Gravitas.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in.
We don't impose our views.
Did India threaten to ban Twitter? Either that or Jack Dorsey is lying to you.
That is Gravitas. We let life breathe through our show. Gravitas, the informed show for an intelligent audience.